Hi, I'm Alex.
And I'm Caitlin.
Today we'll be taking you on a tour of a soldier page to show you what kinds of information and documentation you can find and will be able to search for using our database.
We will be going through a page that has an abundant collection of both military and genealogical information. Most of the fields on this page have been populated. We chose the soldier to give you an idea of the kinds of data each field can contain.
Not all soldier pages will have the wealth of information that this one does. What we populate each page with depends on how big a mark the man left in the historical record. For some soldiers and sailors, we have only a name and a regiment. We're hoping now that the database is going live, descendants and other researchers will reach out to us and tell us what and who we've missed.
We are constantly updating the database with new information and documents. As we discover more sources and as additional records get digitized and made available online, we will continue to expand and add new information to each soldier's page.
We hope the Shapell roster will be a resource you return to again and again to see updates and learn about new soldiers and sailors. So we're going to start here at the top of the page. We have the soldier's name, Marcus W. Waterman. The top right-hand corner also has an export to PDF button. This allows you to download a copy of the soldier's record to your computer. Here's what the PDF of Marcus Waterman's page looks like. Here at the bottom right of the page is a button for our live chat. Please feel free to click on this chat to connect to our research team at any time. If we're around, we'll answer right away in real time. But if not, we'll still receive your message and get back to you as soon as we can. We would love to know if you have any questions or concerns, or if you are having technical issues. But also, we would love to hear of any new information you have to share with us, or chat with you if you're a descendant of one of our soldiers. Please feel free to contact us about anything. We really look forward to hearing from you. Each soldier or sailor is assigned their own unique roster ID number, which is a quick way to look up a soldier from the search page. The number also appears in the URL for a soldier's page. The header next contains a soldier or sailor's Jewish status. All soldiers discovered by the roster team will be confirmed Jewish. The final portion of the header is a soldier or sailor's biography. This is a brief overview of the data we've collected on the soldier's service and personal life in narrative form. Clicking on these hyperlinks will open the source documents. We will take a look at them shortly. Because Waterman had a lot of genealogical information available to us, his bio is more extensive than our average soldier or sailor.
A soldier page's data fields are divided into 3 categories: basic information, military service, and documentation and sources. This header at the top freezes and will allow you to navigate to different parts of a soldier's page. Under basic information, we have an overview subsection, which contains classifications that are helpful for searching groups of soldiers, less important when you are looking up specific individuals. First up, we have the soldier's Jewish status listed again. We will go over where to find our sources for this status later on. Next is service status. Waterman has a service status of confirmed. We have some of his official military records attached to his page, and we'll be showing you them when we get to his service history and document section. Now we have research status. This status can be marked as complete, in process, or on hold. Completed means a soldier's page has been proofread, not that we are finished researching the soldier or that it will not be updated in the future. In process means a soldier has been identified, but the record still needs to be edited or is missing information. If a record looks like it hasn't been proofread, check the research status. And on hold means a listing from Simon Wolf's roster that has not yet been identified. Soldier record origin tells us how the soldier was discovered. Waterman was discovered through the work of the Shapell roster team. We also have soldier names from Simon Wolf's 1895 roster, as Adrian discussed. Side served. The initial Shapell roster launch will solely contain Union records, but we look forward to when all of our records are live and Confederate records are available as well. The regiment service branch field indicates what type of regiment a soldier served in. Marcus Waterman was an infantryman. Regiment state, like it sounds, is which states a soldier served from during the Civil War. This field is particularly helpful in searching for soldiers when you don't know the regiment they served in, but have an idea where they lived. Marcus Waterman has New Hampshire and US listed. US will appear when a soldier or sailor served in the US Navy or the regular Army. And finally, in the overview, we include a special interest section. This field allows us to track certain groups of soldiers and sailors. So far, we include designations for Medal of Honor recipients, Hebrew Union Veterans Association members, and high-ranking officers. Unseen here because Marcus Waterman does not fall into any of these three categories. We hope to add more categories in the future and love suggestions from you, the database users.
That brings us to birth and death, which is exactly what it sounds like, but we want to highlight a few special features on what we track in these fields. Date of birth. Marcus Waterman was born circa 1847, based on how his age is listed throughout primary source documentation, but we have not yet found an exact birth date for him. Place of birth. Waterman was born in Bohemia. We display all locations by the name or designation that place went by at the time an event occurred. So, at the time of his birth, the country was Bohemia. Today, this area is either Austria or the Czech Republic. One of the cool features of the Shapell roster is that you can search on either the historical or modern location, and soldiers' pages will come up. Place of birth details. This field displays any additional information we have about where a soldier or sailor was born that cannot be spelled out by place alone. An example of this could be the name of a village or even a ship name if they were born at sea. We have more than one soldier who was in our database. Date of death. Marcus Waterman died on January 21st, 1914 at Cleveland, Ohio. Place of death details is the same idea as place of birth details. And an example of this could be the name of a hospital that the soldier died at. Place of death engagement. If a soldier died during a battle or engagement, you'll find this information here. And death classification. This field tells us if a soldier died during the service, either by being killed in action, dying later of wounds he received, or if he died under non-battle related circumstances, such as an illness or an accident. Waterman died after he was discharged, so this field displays that he died post-service. We track information for users interested in statistics in this field. And that brings us to death reason. If we know how a soldier died, we list this information here. Waterman's cause of death was listed as apoplexy in an obituary.
The next section on the soldier page is names on record. The names on record feature displays all the ways we have found a soldier or sailor listed in the historical record. If you search any of these name variations, Waterman's record will come up in the results. Soldiers' names can be found listed countless different ways, as the idea of what your quote unquote legal or official name wasn't tracked by the government in most instances. We wish Social Security cards were a thing in the 19th century. It would make our jobs a lot easier. For example, some soldiers used nicknames, changed the spelling of their name over time, Americanized their name at some point in their life, or couldn't spell or write. We also have many examples of a recruiting officer mishearing or misspelling a name because of an accent. Military names come from the official military indexes. Signatures, pretty self-explanatory, are how we found a soldier signed his name on documentation. Marcus Waterman signed his name Mark Waterman, Marcus W. Waterman, and M.W. Waterman, as you can see scrolling through the field. An X in a signature name indicates where a soldier was illiterate and literally signed with an X. Any other name falls into the category of other, unless a soldier used an alias during the service or in his personal life. Marcus Waterman served in the 3rd U.S. Infantry under the alias John Miller. When a soldier or sailor used an alias, you will find more details about their pseudonyms in the notes field further down on the page. We will see Marcus Waterman's explanation for his multiple names shortly.
And that brings us to the military service section of the soldier page. This section details the events of a soldier's military service that took place during the Civil War. The default for the military service is this collapsed view, which gives you a brief overview of a soldier's service history, including dates and event descriptions. For more detail, you can expand the entire military service section or individual fields. And we are going to expand all to review this section. We track a host of different service events that happened during the soldier's time in the military. The categories and fields are pretty self-explanatory, but let's take a look at Marcus Waterman to see what events took place during his service and for an example of the kinds of data that we collect. Marcus Waterman volunteered in the 11th New Hampshire Infantry on December 22nd, 1863 at Portsmouth, New Hampshire for 3 years. He was not assigned to a company until March 10th, 1864, when he was transferred to Company I. Waterman was reported as missing in action on May 12th, 1864, at the Battle of Spotsylvania Courthouse. He was later marked as a deserter during this time period. He next appears as enlisting in a new unit, Company G of the 3rd U.S. Infantry, in Washington, D.C., almost a year later, on March 6th, 1865. And he gets honorably discharged a year after that in St. Louis when his regiment was mustered out. When there is something confusing like this in a soldier or sailor's service history, we highly suggest scrolling down to the service notes section to see if there's an explanation here for the chaos. So looking at Marcus Waterman's service notes, you can read in clear detail why the soldier was marked as both missing in action and as a deserter, plus learn the reason behind his use of an alias. This is the place to check whenever anything seems confusing or contradictory in a soldier's military service section. As you are reading through the service notes, you can also click on the hyperlinks to documents used or described within. Here is Marcus Waterman's affidavit. We can find his description of events here, scanned from the National Archives from his pension file. All of the documents linked in this field are also available in the documentation and sources section of his page, which we will look at shortly. We hope this excites you to explore the Shapell roster, where you can search our database and discover different soldiers and sailors. Also, check out our website, where we highlight some of our favorite stories and amazing documents. We hope you will learn more about your ancestors, and we encourage you to utilize our database to discover whatever interests you.